I want you to stop for just a moment, right now, wherever you are, whatever thoughts are crowding your mind. I need you to feel something that's been building beneath the surface of your life. There's a reason you're here. Not by chance, not by accident, but because something inside you recognized a signal you couldn't name yet. It's that feeling when you wake at 3 a.m. and the darkness feels different, not frightening but alive with possibility. It's that sensation when you're driving a familiar road and suddenly nothing looks the same anymore. The trees, the sky, the light falling through the clouds, everything carries a weight of meaning you can't explain. And if you're a Sagittarius, or if you love one, or if you simply feel pulled to these words right now, then what I'm about to share will touch something so deep in you that you might need to sit down, take a breath, and let yourself feel what's been trying to reach you for longer than you know. January 8th isn't just another day on the calendar. It's a threshold, but not the kind you can see with your eyes. It's the kind you feel in your bones, in the way your chest tightens when you think about the future, in the way your hands tremble slightly when you imagine finally saying yes to what you've been denying yourself. There are moments in life that arrive quietly but change everything. No fireworks, no announcements, just a shift so subtle that only those who've been paying attention, who've been doing the inner work in the dark, will notice it. And when they do, when that recognition hits, it feels like coming home to a place you've never been before. A place that was always waiting for you to become brave enough to find it. You've been walking a long road, haven't you? Longer than anyone knows. Longer than you sometimes want to admit. There were mornings you weren't sure you could get out of bed. There were nights you bargained with the universe, asking why the path had to be so steep, so lonely, so unclear. You watched other people seem to glide through life while you stumbled over rocks you couldn't see coming. You smiled when people asked if you were okay. You said you were fine. You learned how to make your voice sound light, even when your heart felt like it was made of stone. But here's what they didn't see, what they couldn't understand. Every single step you took, even the ones that felt like falling, even the ones that left you scraped and bleeding, those steps were building something. Something so powerful that when it finally reveals itself, when the full shape of what you've been creating comes into focus, you'll understand why every scar was necessary, why every moment of doubt was actually a moment of deep preparation. Right now, as you read these words, there's a stirring happening inside you. Can you feel it? It's like the first movement of wings before a bird takes flight. It's like the ground shifting before something breaks through the soil. You might have tried to ignore it, tried to push it down, told yourself it was just anxiety or restlessness or the same old patterns repeating. But it's not. This is different. This is the sound of old chains finally beginning to crack. This is the feeling of a door you didn't even know was locked, suddenly becoming loose on its hinges. And the most beautiful, terrifying part, you're the one holding the key. You've been holding it all along. You just needed to reach this exact moment to be ready to use it. There's something you wanted for so long that talking about it feels dangerous. Even thinking about it too directly makes your throat tighten. It's that dream you buried so deep, you almost convinced yourself it didn't matter anymore. That person you never forgot, but trained yourself not to mention. That version of your life that used to light you up inside until disappointment taught you to stop imagining it. That calling you felt so strongly once upon a time before the world told you to be realistic, to settle, to accept what was given instead of reaching for what called to your soul. You learned to be silent about it. You learned to smile and nod when people suggested paths that felt wrong. You learned to make peace with less than what your heart truly needed. And for a while, that survival strategy worked. It kept you safe. It kept you from the crushing weight of hope turning into heartbreak again. But something's been changing, hasn't it? Small things at first. A song that suddenly makes you cry for reasons you can't explain. A stranger's laugh that reminds you of something you can't quite place. A dream you wake from with your heart racing. Not from fear, but from recognition. The universe has been sending you signals. Gentle at first, then more insistent. Like someone trying to get your attention across a crowded room. And now the crowd is starting to thin. The noise is starting to fade. And you can finally see clearly what's been trying to reach you this whole time. That thing you wanted, that thing you mourned, that thing you convinced yourself was lost forever, it's not lost. It was never lost. It's been waiting, patiently, quietly, growing roots in the dark, getting ready for the moment when you would finally be strong enough, whole enough, clear enough to receive it without losing yourself in it. And here's what you need to understand, what you need to let sink all the way down into the deepest part of you. When it comes, and it is coming, it won't look the way you imagined. It won't arrive with a fanfare you once dreamed about. It won't be perfect or polished or tied up in a neat bow. It will be real. It will be raw. It will be so devastatingly human that you might want to laugh and cry at the same time. Because the version of you that first wanted this thing, that first dreamed this dream, that version couldn't have handled what's about to arrive. They weren't ready. They would have broken under the weight of it. They would have twisted themselves into impossible shapes trying to keep it. But you, right now, you're different. You've been forged in fires most people never even come close to. You've learned how to stand in your own truth, even when the ground shakes. You've learned how to love without begging, how to want without desperation, how to receive without guilt. Maybe it shows up as a message you weren't expecting. Simple words on a screen that make time stop for just a second. Or maybe at a phone call that comes at the strangest moment when you're in the middle of something ordinary and suddenly everything shifts. Maybe it's a chance meeting that doesn't feel like chance at all, where you lock eyes with someone and feel like you've known them for 1,000 years. Or maybe an opportunity that appears out of nowhere, the exact thing you needed but had stopped asking for, landing in your lap with such perfect timing that you absolutely know, this isn't random. This is orchestrated. This is the universe finally saying yes after you've been hearing no for so long you forgot what yes sounds like. But here's where it gets interesting. Here's where the story takes a turn you might not expect. Because as this thing you want to starts to materialize, as it begins to take real, tangible shape in your life, something else starts to happen too. You begin to feel a pull, a tug toward movement, toward expansion, toward leaving something behind. Not in a way that feels like loss, but in a way that feels like evolution, like a snake shedding skin that's become too tight, like a tree dropping leaves it no longer needs, so it can conserve energy for new growth. You start to notice that certain places don't fit anymore. Certain conversations feel hollow. Certain routines that once brought comfort now feel like cages. And there's this growing awareness, this expanding consciousness that keeps whispering the same message over and over. You've outgrown this. You become too large for this container. It's time to move. This movement might be physical. A trip you've been putting off suddenly becomes urgent, non-negotiable, essential. Or a move to a new place, a new city, a new country even. Something that used to feel scary now feels like the only logical next step. But the movement might also be internal, invisible to the outside world, but seismic in its impact. It might be leaving behind an old story about who you are, stepping out of a role you played for so long you forgot it was just a role, releasing a relationship that served its purpose but has become a weight around your neck, saying no to obligations that drain you, saying yes to possibilities that light you up. This movement, whether external or internal, carries a quality of inevitability, not because you're being forced, but because you're finally ready. Because staying still has become more uncomfortable than moving forward. And as you begin to move, as you begin to shift your position in the world, you'll notice something that might surprise you. Not everyone is happy about it. In fact, some people you trusted, people you thought wanted the best for you, will suddenly start to express concern. They'll tell you to slow down, to think it through more carefully, to consider the risks, to remember your responsibilities. And their words will sound reasonable. They'll sound like wisdom. They'll sound like love. But if you listen closely, if you pay attention to what's beneath the words, you'll hear something else. You'll hear fear, not your fear, theirs. Because when you change, when you grow, when you step into a bigger version of yourself, it forces everyone around you to confront their own stagnation. Your expansion becomes a mirror that reflects their contraction. And that's uncomfortable. That's threatening. So they'll try, often unconsciously, to keep you where you are, to keep you small, to keep you safe, which really means to keep themselves comfortable. This is where your discernment becomes crucial. This is where you have to learn to distinguish between genuine guidance and projections of fear. Not everyone who claims to care about you actually wants you to soar. Some people love you best when you're struggling, when you need them, when you're not shining so bright that they feel dim by comparison. And recognizing this, naming this, choosing to move forward anyway despite their concerns and cautions and warnings, this is one of the most difficult and necessary acts of self-love you'll ever perform. You don't have to be cruel about it. You don't have to cut people off or make dramatic statements. You simply have to keep walking. Keep choosing yourself. Keep honoring the voice inside that knows, that has always known where you need to go and who you need to become. And here's the beautiful thing, the thing that will sustain you through any doubt. Once you make this choice, once you decide that you're moving forward no matter who comes with you and who doesn't, something shifts in the fabric of reality itself. Doors that were bolted shut suddenly swing open. Opportunities that seemed impossible suddenly become probable. People who match your new frequencies start appearing in your life, as if by magic. Resources flow toward you instead of away from you. And you realize, sometimes with tears running down your face, sometimes with quiet awe, that you were never actually stuck. You were just standing in the wrong place. You were looking through the wrong lens. You were asking the wrong questions. As these external changes unfold, as the landscape of your life begins to rearrange itself, something profound happens internally. Those burdens you've been carrying, the ones that felt permanent, the ones you thought you'd never be free from, they start to dissolve. Not all at once, not dramatically, but gradually, like ice melting in spring sun, they begin to lose their grip on you. The financial stress that kept you up at night starts to ease. Not necessarily because you suddenly have unlimited money, but because your relationship to money changes. You stop operating from scarcity. You stop believing that there's never enough. You start trusting that you're supported, that you're worthy of support, that abundance is your natural state, and lack was just a temporary illusion. The relationship wounds that made you afraid to trust, afraid to open your heart, afraid to believe in love again, those wounds start to heal. And you know they're healing not because the pain completely disappears, but because you stop picking at the scab. You stop replaying old scenes. You stop using past hurts as evidence for why the future will also hurt. You start to see each new person, each new opportunity, each new moment with fresh eyes. You start to believe that good things can happen to you, that you're not cursed or unlucky or fundamentally broken. You start to understand that everything that happened, all the pain and loss and disappointment, was preparing you for this, for now, for the version of your life that's about to unfold. And in this softening, in this opening, you discover something that might be the greatest gift of all. You discover that you're not alone. There's someone, or perhaps multiple someones, who see you clearly, who recognize what you're becoming, who don't need you to explain or justify or prove anything. They're just there, solid, steady, believing in you even when you struggle to believe in yourself. Their love doesn't demand. It doesn't require you to perform or achieve or be anything other than exactly what you are. And in the safety of that unconditional presence, you finally give yourself permission to rest, to receive, to let yourself be held without having to hold everything together yourself. This is the abundance that's moving toward you now. Not just material abundance, though that's coming too, but the abundance of feeling safe in your own skin, the abundance of trust in yourself and in life, the abundance of knowing that you're exactly where you need to be, that everything is unfolding in perfect timing, that you don't have to force or control or manipulate anything. You can simply be, simply breathe, simply take each step as it reveals itself without needing to see the whole staircase. But to fully receive this abundance, to fully step into this new chapter, there's one final thing required of you, an ending, a closing, a completion of what's old, so there's space for what's new. And this is where many people hesitate. This is where the fear comes rushing back in, because endings are hard. Even when we've outgrown something, even when we know in our bones it's time to let go, there's grief in the release. There's a mourning for what was, for what could have been, for the version of ourselves that lived in that old story. But Sagittarius, you've got to understand something crucial. This ending is not a punishment. It's not a failure. It's the universe's way of honoring how far you've come by clearing the path for how far you're going to go. Some beliefs need to die. The belief that you're too much or not enough. The belief that you have to earn love through suffering. The belief that good things don't happen to people like you. These beliefs served a purpose once. They protected you when you were too young or too vulnerable to protect yourself. But now they're just walls. Beautiful, decorated walls that you've gotten used to, but walls nonetheless. And you can't expand while you're enclosed. You can't grow while you're contained. So these walls, these beliefs, they have to come down, not through violence or force, but through gentle, compassionate recognition that they're no longer needed. Some relationships need to complete, not because anyone is wrong or bad, but because you've traveled as far together as you're meant to. You've learned what you came to learn from each other. You've given what you came to give. And now the path diverges. Theirs goes one way, yours goes another, and trying to stay connected when you're being called in different directions doesn't serve anyone. It just creates tension, resentment, a slow erosion of something that was once beautiful. Better to release with gratitude, to honor what was without trying to force it to be something it's not anymore, to trust that if it's meant to return, it will. And if it's not, then letting it go is the most loving thing you can do for both of you. Some versions of yourself need to be buried. The version that apologized for existing. The version that dimmed their light to make others comfortable. The version that said yes when they meant no. The version that stayed silent when they needed to speak. The version that made themselves small. These versions of you were survival mechanisms. They got you through. They kept you safe in environments that weren't safe. But you're not in that environment anymore. You've climbed out. You found higher ground. And you can't bring all of you with you. Some parts have to stay behind. And that's okay. That's not betrayal. That's evolution. That's a natural process of becoming who you were always meant to be. January 8th stands at the center of all of this like a doorway made of light. You can feel it even if you can't see it. The air feels different on this day. Thinner somehow. More transparent. As if the veil between what is and what could be has worn so thin, you can almost touch the other side. This is your moment, your threshold, your invitation to step through into a life that finally matches the bigness of your spirit. And the only question that matters is this. Are you ready? Are you ready to release your grip on what's familiar? Are you ready to trust the journey even when you can't see the destination? Are you ready to become the version of yourself that you've been secretly, desperately, courageously dreaming about in the quiet hours of the night? Because if you're truly ready, then everything changes from this point forward. The rebirth that's been gestating inside you for months or maybe years, it's ready to be born. And you're the only one who can deliver it. Not through force, not through striving, but through surrender, through softening, through saying yes to what's real and releasing what's no longer true. The new you isn't someone you have to become. It's who you've always been underneath all the layers of conditioning and fear and other people's expectations. This rebirth is actually a remembering, a coming home, a shedding of everything that was never really you so that what is you, what has always been you, can finally breathe free. And as this rebirth unfolds, as you step through the doorway and into the life that's been waiting for you, you'll notice that you move differently in the world. There's a grace to your steps that wasn't there before, a confidence that doesn't need to announce itself, a peace that runs so deep that external circumstances can't shake it. You stop needing validation from others because you've learned to validate yourself. You stop seeking permission because you've given yourself permission. You stop waiting for the right moment because you understand that you create the right moment simply by choosing to act. Your relationships transform. The people who are meant to stay, they step closer. They match your new frequency. They celebrate your expansion instead of fearing it. And the people who are meant to stay, they fade naturally, without drama, without hard feelings, just a gentle drifting apart that feels more like relief than loss. You stop forcing connections that don't flow. You stop trying to convince people of your worth. You understand that your worth is inherent, unchangeable, not dependent on anyone else's recognition of it. And from that place of inner security, you become magnetic in a completely different way. You draw to you what matches what you become, not what you're pretending to be. Your work, your purpose, your contribution to the world, all of this clarifies. The confusion that used to plague you, the endless questioning about whether you're on the right path, it quiets. Not because you suddenly have all the answers, but because you trust yourself to figure out as you go. You understand that purpose isn't something you find. It's something you create through the choices you make every day, through the way you show up, through the courage you bring to each moment. And when you're living in alignment with your true nature, when you're moving from your authentic center instead of from fear or obligation, the right opportunities don't just appear. They pursue you. They find you. They meet you halfway. Your relationship with money shifts from scarcity to sufficiency to true abundance. You stop believing that you have to struggle to be worthy of receiving. You stop equating hard work with worthiness. You understand that you can work hard and also allow things to be easy. You can be ambitious and also be at peace. You can desire more and also be grateful for what is. These aren't contradictions. They're the natural state of someone who has healed their relationship with having, with receiving, with believing they deserve good things not because they earned them through suffering, but because they're alive, because they're here, because they're breathing. And perhaps most importantly, you learn to trust your journey. All of it, even the parts that hurt, even the detours and delays and seeming failures. You start to see the perfect design of your life, how every experience was exactly what you needed to become who you needed to be. You stop resenting the past. You stop fearing the future. You land fully in the present moment and discover that this right here, right now, is where all your power lives. This is where choice happens. This is where transformation occurs. Not in some distant future, when conditions are perfect. Not in the past where you can rewrite history. But here, now, in this breath, in this decision, in this small, sacred moment of choosing yourself over and over again. So Sagittarius, as you stand on this threshold, as you feel the old world crumbling behind you and the new world shimmering ahead, know this. You are not lost. You are not behind. You're not broken or wrong or too late. You are exactly on time. This moment, this day, this breath, this is your moment. The universe has been conspiring in your favor all along, arranging people and circumstances and lessons in precisely the sequence you needed to bring you here, to this point of readiness, to this point of power. And as you move forward from here, carrying everything you've learned, leaving behind everything that would hold you back, you'll start to feel something extraordinary, a lightness, a freedom, a joy that doesn't need a reason or permission or perfect circumstances. A joy that springs from finally living in truth, from finally allowing yourself to be as large as you actually are, from finally releasing the exhausting effort of making yourself smaller, quieter, less than. You'll breathe deeper. You'll laugh more easily. You'll cry more freely. You'll feel everything more intensely because you're no longer numbing yourself to survive. You're alive, fully alive, awake in your own life, in a way you've never been before. The people who love you will notice the change. Some won't be able to articulate it, but they'll feel it. The way you carry yourself, the way you speak, the way you take up space without apology. They'll see that something fundamental has shifted, that you've crossed over into a new version of yourself, and they'll either rise to meet you there or they'll fall away. Either outcome is perfect. Either outcome is exactly what's meant to happen. Because you're no longer available for relationships that require you to betray yourself. You're no longer willing to minimize your truth to maintain false peace. You've tasted freedom, and there's no going back to the cage, no matter how comfortable or familiar it was. This is what January 8th is offering you. Not just a day, a demarcation point, a line in the sand that separates who you were from who you're becoming. On one side of this line is everything you've known, all the safety and limitation and careful smallness. On the other side is everything you've dreamed of, all the possibility and risk and magnificent expansion. You can't straddle this line forever. You can't keep one foot in the old world while reaching for the new. At some point, and that point is now, you have to choose. You have to leap. You have to trust that there's ground beneath you even when you can't see it yet. You have to believe that you're held, that you're guided, that you're moving towards something better than you can currently imagine. And when you make that choice, when you finally fully commit to your own becoming, the universe responds. It always does. It meets your courage with opportunity. It matches your faith with evidence. It rewards your willingness to risk with gifts you didn't even know to ask for, because that's how it works. That's how it's always worked. The universe can't give you what you're not ready to receive. It can't bring you what you don't believe you're worthy of. But the moment you step into readiness, the moment you claim your worthiness, everything shifts. Doors open, paths clear, people appear, resources flow, not because you forced it, not because you manipulated it, but because you finally aligned with it. You finally became a match for the life that's been waiting for you all along. So take a deep breath. Feel your feet on the ground. Feel your heart beating in your chest. Feel the aliveness moving through every cell of your body. You're here. You're present. You're ready. Everything that came before was preparation for this moment. Every tear, every triumph, every loss, every lesson, it all led here. To this choice, to this threshold, to this beautiful, terrifying, perfect moment of transformation. Step through, Sagittarius. Step through with your whole heart. Step through knowing that you're not leaving anything essential behind. You're only releasing what was weighing you down. You're only letting go of what was keeping you from flying. And on the other side of this doorway, there's a life waiting that's so aligned with your truth, so resonant with your soul, that you'll wonder how you ever lived any other way. This is your time. This is your moment. This is your rebirth. Welcome it. Embrace it. Become it. The journey of a lifetime is calling your name.